is Melissa Tarango and I am a first grade teacher. Today, you will be watching an instructional video that I have put together for my students. I created this video to simulate a field trip around our neighborhood, exploring the living and non-living things that live there. I feel it is important that students have an understanding of the world around them because I want them to know that learning takes place outside of the classroom as well. And I want them to really think about the bigger picture by interacting with those surroundings. I will be addressing two of the first grade life science standards as I do this. The first is that organisms, including people, have basic needs, which include water, shelter, air, and food. The second standard I will address just briefly, and that is that food comes from sources other than the grocery store. Hopefully after watching my video today, you will have some ideas on how you can integrate fun and interactive lessons for your students that don't ever require them to leave the classroom. Hello boys and girls, and welcome to our science lesson for today. As you can see, I'm outside. This is my backyard. Everybody has a backyard, but everybody's backyard is a little bit different. The reason that we're in our backyards today is because for our science lesson, we're going to learn about needs. What is a need? Well, needs are things that we have to have in order to survive. So maybe you're wondering, why am I outside if we're talking about needs? And I'm going to explain that to you right now. In my backyard, you can see a lot of things. There's trees, the grass, flowers, even a dog. But back to the trees and flowers. One thing that people need, as well as animals, is air. What is air and where do we get it from? Well, first of all, air is all around us, but we only breathe part of that air in. The part that we breathe in is called oxygen. Oxygen comes from trees and plants. Another need that we have is for food. Now, you may not think of it as this, but food is kind of like plants too sometimes. Follow me, and I'll show you what I mean. Here in my garden, which is kind of a jungle, you can see that I'm growing something that many of you might really like to eat. Does anyone know what that vegetable is? If you guessed that it was a tomato, you're right. Lots of kinds of vegetables and fruits grow from plants. Some grow in trees, like apples, and some grow on smaller plants like these tomatoes here. But food is something that all people need in order to survive, just like air. What's another thing we might need to survive? How about water? Everyone needs water in order to survive. These plants even need water. That's because these plants are living just like we are. Let's find out where we could get some water from.
Okay.
Well, I found some water, but I'm not diving in and drinking that. Why did I bring you to a river to show you water? Well, I'll explain it to you right now. Follow me. This river got filled because it rained. Rainwater fills lakes and ponds and rivers all over the world. Those bodies of water then become what the animals around them can drink. Plants get their drinks of water when it rains. But where do people get their water? I'm not diving in and drinking out of this, and I didn't bring a straw. So let's find out where you and I can get our water. I like to get my water out of a drinking fountain. The difference between this water and that river we just saw is that this water is purified. That means that it got cleaned. The water in there is just leftover rainwater. So I prefer to drink something like this. Let's recap what we've learned so far. We've learned that we need water, food, and oxygen in order to survive. But are we the only ones that have needs? How about these flowers? Do they need food? Maybe not like you and me. I wouldn't give this flower a piece of pizza if I were you. But flowers do eat. How about water? Absolutely. Think about when it rains. Rain is the perfect way for plants and flowers to get the water they need to survive. Looks like this one didn't quite get as much water as it needed. How about air? Do you think that our plants need air? If you said yes, you are right. But they don't need the same kind of air like me and you. Plants give off oxygen, and that's what we breathe in. But we give off carbon dioxide, and that's what the plants need. So when we work together, everyone's happy. Now that we've explored some living things like these ducks and these plants, let's think about some things that are not living. How can you tell if something's not living? Well, it's pretty easy to tell if a person is living or an animal is living. What is it that tells us if something is non-living? Well, let's think about this. This rock here. Do you think it's living? Let's review what we talked about. I'm living. I have needs. Air to breathe, water to drink, food to eat. Does this rock need water, or air, or food? If you said no, you're right, and that means that the rock is not living. It doesn't have needs. After a long trip at the park and all this talk about needs, I realized I'm pretty hungry. So, where do I go if I want to get a quick snack? If you said I should go to the grocery store, I like where your head's at. But is that the only place I can get food? Let's think back to my tomato plant for a second. I'm growing food in my own backyard. People called farmers do that all the time. Maybe even some of you have a garden or know a farmer who grows their own food. Here we are at the grocery store. This looks familiar. But instead of coming here and paying for it, I'm just growing mine at home. Let's see how many other things we can find here at the grocery store that could easily be grown at home or by farmers. In the fall, we're going to start to see lots of these falling off of the trees. I just love fresh apples. Combine them at the store, or you can grow them on your own. This time of year, you'll see lots of corn growing in the cornfields nearby. I just love the taste of fresh corn. Farmers spend so much time growing this corn and then picking it so that we can buy it at the grocery store. Last but not least, although there's many things I can show you, let's take a look at these potatoes. I personally love potatoes, and I bet most of you do too. Have you ever had a French fry? That French fry was once in the ground at a farmer's house. Now it's here at the grocery store as a potato. Our trip to the park was a lot of fun, but now here we are, back in my yard. And I remember that there's one last need I wanted to tell you guys about, and that is the need for shelter. Shelter is just another name for your home, and everybody has lots of different kinds of homes, and all of them are great because what they provide you with is a place to be safe and cool in the summertime and warm in the wintertime. Animals, however, who sometimes live outdoors all year round, have to find shelter in different ways. One example that came to mind for me is birds. Birds have to live outside year-round, even when it's snowing and cold outside. And I'm sure you've probably seen a bird's home before. The shelter they make for themselves is called a nest. And here in my own backyard is a bird's nest I want to show you so you can get an idea of what different kinds of shelters look like. Well, boys and girls, thanks for going on our science field trip with me, and I hope that you had a lot of fun and learned new things about living and non-living things, about the food that we eat and where it comes from, and about the needs that people, animal, and other living things need. See you next time! Thanks again for watching my instructional video today. It sure was a lot of fun to get into character and be goofy for my kids, but ultimately I think that what they'll learn is that learning is all around us, and when we don't have the opportunity to go and get it, we can bring it into the classroom.